Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is 8 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, August 6th. So, looking back at yesterday's session, right, not a lot going on. We got that, we had a gap up open, right, come back down and just went all the way through the previous day's value area and then just kind of settled in around the lows. And if you look over here at the cash market in the lower right hand side, the SPX, right, just kind of pushed right into 6,300. There was a large investor or whale, if you will, that had an iron condor on from for yesterday, thinking that not much was going to happen. They had it just a little bit below 6,300 and a little bit above 6,350. Right. So as you look at that, just kind of went down and then kind of pinned 6,300 yesterday, and that was the real you know play, if you will, or what was going on. And if you look at the Qs, right? The weekly put level was at 560 on the Qs, going into yesterday. Just kind of sat there, really couldn't get any traction below there because, that was the weekly put wall, and just sitting there basing on the bottom, if you will. And then if we look at where we're at now after this little bit of volatility that creeped in Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, uh, we have untested points of control from 62.65 basically up to 63.75. So a good 150 point range there. And then yesterday's point of control 63.26. We're currently trading about 11 points over that as I speak. And then so above there, uh, you got about 50 points, 43 now or so to get, or 47 now to get up there to around that 63 75. So see if we can get any of that going on. So the title of my video, are we going to hold the upper balance zone now? So we basically had two balance zones, right? So I'll just do this real quick. Uh, so if you look at this, oops, let's try that again. So I'm going to give it one more shot here. Let's see if I can be patient. All right, sorry about that. So basically we had a zone that was from here to here. Let me make that a little thicker. So, in here, right, that was between these levels, and that was the same over here, right? This was your zone. And then we kind of pushed up out of that for several sessions. And all we did on this pullback was go back to this lower zone, right? And we didn't spend much time or volume down there, right? There's a lot of shorts that wanted their money back. So right now, it's a game of keep away. And then this is a balance zone from here up, right? That is the all-time high balance zone. And that appears to be what we're sticking in right now, right? So if we look, we're holding above 23,060. We're basically 120 points above that, or $3 on the Qs. And if you look at 2320 or 6323, sorry, need one more sip of coffee, I guess. That's where we're holding. So uh, below here, I would target the middle of this mini balance zone. Uh, so you can put a fib between those levels, or whatever, or you just calculate it. But right, target right around the middle if we do get a breakdown, and then see. So that would be a higher low if that holds, right? Uh, of course, everybody and their brother that is long from, I'll even go back to the beginning of July. Let's call it June 30th. Uh, they have their stops now below that. So. If we do break down sometime in the future below this test of last uh, of the low, right, you're looking at probably getting down to 61.18, and then you're probably looking at getting close to, uh, I would say 22,400, 375, 360 to 400, right in there. It would be a very quick uh, crash down, and or it could take all day as it's doing it, but it would just be a no bid day if you lost that. Not you can't don't even look for that until you see it. But the first sign of that would be that around the middle of this zone is not holding, right? That would just target a collapse and stop runs. Until then, it appears, for now anyways, that we are holding the upper end of the all-time high breakdown. When we get into position, I'll show you out. I think it's going to be like in the next 2 or 3 sessions that we crack that. But we could just sit here and fill in a little bit of more time and volume up into here. So the next thing I would look at is maybe get a test of close to 6,400. I would target the 6390s in the ES, and I would target probably right around 23,430 to 450, right around that 440 level for the NQ. So looking at where we're at, right, we had the underwater trades that went off last night in the NASDAQ. We had some poor structure, right, for the ES on that breakdown in the morning. And in the overnight session, we went up and we rejected all prices above there, right? This could have been like uh, a bull trap uh, above there if we were to open up above there. But now I think it's a little bit more healthy getting above here. And I really want to see now when we open after the initial bounce, if we can push through this level and start holding above 6360, let's call it. And then we have some also some poor structure right on the money here at this 23,250 area up to let's call it 305. So you got poor structure in here that wants to be taken back. And what it'll be interesting to see is as we're holding that balance low, right? If we can't get trades up here early in the session, look for just a choppy two-sided market until you can start holding below these underwater trades from yesterday. Otherwise, we're in balance where we could have an inside day, and that inside day is pretty large, right? We are closer to the bottom on the Nasdaq, but fairly, you know, just slightly under the middle for the ES, and we're holding in the upper end with the Dow. Again, you can make more money, and I don't really trade the Russell and the Dow that often. I just use them to monitor, right? When they're all acting the same, you can press your technical analysis. Things should be lining up. You should press your targets more. When they're not, you should not press for bigger targets. And right now in the overnight session, we are not getting similar action in these markets. We'll have to see what happens after the bell, but they are a little bit dissimilar, uh, with the Russell being the laggard for the most part. So looking at positioning, yesterday we had clear and defined trading plan that we could watch for the SPX, the cash market. There is no such beast today, right? It's wide open. There is nothing here to, hang your hat on other than larger gamma levels, and they're pretty far away from where we're trading. So the cash market, you can watch the 50s, you can watch the 25s on the cash market because there's always reactions around there, but they're not going to be what they were yesterday. So don't hang your hat on the SPX today. Looking at the SPY, you can see it's a little bit more defined. We're currently trading 629.50 after closing at 628. So that'd be up about 15 points, which we're up 14 points in the ES right now in the overnight session. So 629.5 is going to be, right in here. So you can see from 627 up to 635, that's kind of like the bulls domain, and you could push up towards 640, but that would be a little bit of a stretch. If you got up to 640, I would just short with both hands for retracement, and then with limited risk because it really shouldn't break over that level. I mean, that would be over 100 points up from where we're at. So I don't think that's, to be honest with you, on the table. If we got up to 635, that's probably where we'll stall. And then going back to the downside, losing this, you'd have to lose 624, right? So you could get stuck in the little bit of a bear zone between 624 and 627. I've got all this marked out on the positioning for you. And then for the cues, right? You can see for the week, 560 is a big level, right? To hold to the downside. We're currently trading 561.30, so just a little bit above this right now. But you can see from 560 all the way up to 568 for today is open. You can see there should be some stalling around 65, 67 potentially. And then, like I said, I've got all that marked off in the positioning for you. Uh, and then as you look down, like so for the put wall for today is this 560. But if you look, the put wall for the week now is 555. The put wall long term is 550. So if you lose the 560, you could, float down another 200 points pretty easily on the NQ, right? Each one of these $5 is about 200 points, rounding it off. And then for the upside, you could float towards these levels. That would be the breakdown level. Uh, and we probably won't trade extremes, right? So, but 568 would be your extreme up today, and 570 would be just uh, I don't think that's even on the table. So, just kind of keep in mind what you're at. And again, 528 to 527 is your base. And then if you get in a little bearish chop zone, it's probably going to be between 624 and 626 to 627, right in there. Uh, we'll just have to see what happens. But I'm going to let the market open up for at least the first 20 minutes before I even think about taking a trade today. I'm not going to be anxious to jump in the first 20 minutes after the opening bell. And then as we look at, the news flow for today, there's really nothing scheduled on the news. We're going to have a 10-year note auction. The results will be posted at 101. Uh, we have a couple of Fed speakers from 2 o'clock into the 3 o'clock hour, but really nothing to write home about on that. And there's just really not a lot of news flow today. So it could be just, you know, not a lot going on. So volatility may be fadeable. So if you see those big ATR moves, right, just watch them, see if they have continuation. If they don't, you can probably just fade them back out. At least 61% of it you can fade back out, and that'll probably be my if you want to scalp, that's probably what you can do today is, you know, unless the VIX is having follow through, any large movement up or down is probably not gonna continue. It'll just be, frustrating unless you're fading it. I hope this helps. You guys have a great day. We'll see what Jack's looking at next, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.